guys, so today we're going to talk about focus and engagement. Classically, when people talk about focus and engagement and they discuss focus and engagement, they're talking about engagement into the handler, okay? So we're going to start with a couple puppies. We're going to do some basic engagement drills, have the dog engage into the handler, but then we're also going to talk about where we actually might want to have focus and engagement that's not into the handler. Because in reality, focus and engagement should be based on what is productive for you at the time. So if it is a sport dog or obedience dog, that engagement might only need to be with me, the handler, if I'm doing, say, an obedience exercise or obedience sport. However, if I'm a detection handler, it actually might need to be engaged into searching a vehicle, engaged into searching a building, and independently. If it's a bite dog, the dog might need to be engaged into that decoy, especially say French ring sport. The dog needs to be engaged into the decoy, follow the decoy, track the decoy, and when the decoy tries to escape, the dog needs to bite. Engagement even might be into dock diving, right? I need my dog engaged outwardly into that pool, into that toy, into that distance. Same with fly ball. I want my dog engaged at the end of that course for that toy. So engagement is relative to what you want or what is productive for you and what you are desiring out of your dog at the time. So when we're talking about engagement, let's go ahead and define that real quick. And if we go off of the basic definition, occupy, attract, or involve, in this instant, the dog's interest or attention. Establish a meaningful contact or connection with the dog. Or become involved. It could be becoming involved into the handler or into a inanimate object. Maybe the dog is searching a vehicle, okay? So the action of engaging or being engaged, simple as that. Today, in this instance, we're gonna have a 5-month-old German Shepherd named Isla, and we're gonna have Savannah from Lifelong Canine here in North Georgia, okay? Savannah is a really good, talented trainer. She has a lot of clients in the area, and she's now coming over here to VDK to do a little bit of sport work, possibly French ring, possibly Schutzen, stuff like that. Couple things we want to make sure when we're talking engagement, we need to talk some basic principles. We want to use a marker system, okay? When Savannah is here with her dog and the dog gives her a desired behavior or the dog is engaged and focused on her, we then mark the behavior and say yes. So every single time Savannah pays, she's saying yes. She's allowing the dog to offer that focus, and then she's rewarding the dog. Another thing we want to make sure or concentrate on and keep in the back of our mind, if I have a dog that's checking out, sometimes creating movement will also help create engagement. So on this next rep, what Savannah's going to do is she's going to say yes and move backwards rapidly and then give her dog a reward. Let's watch this.
Yes.
Boom. And what that does is that helps create engagement into the handler, and it creates excitement out of the dog. If you notice, the dog got excited real quick, the dog moved rapidly with her. Unfortunately, a lot of times we make the mistake of chasing after our dog and creating the opposite. In this instance, we want to move away from the dog to create that engagement.
So we have here a little 4.5-month-old lab named Cricket. So she is very much a blank slate that we have been waiting to do some of these videos with. So as a lab, naturally she's very food motivated. So she will work for just about any kind of food, even on a full stomach, which makes teaching small behaviors very easy. And here for engagement, building engagement, basically all I'm doing is just getting that lure in there, having her just stay with me. As a small dog, as a young dog, I'm not too worried if she's jumping up on me right now because this is all part of engagement. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to wait until she offers a better behavior, and then that's when I'm gonna reward that engagement instead. I'm not gonna get all over her and correct her for wanting to naturally engage with me. So, and as a small dog, I gotta make sure I'm giving her rewards down here. If I'm too high, she's naturally going to want to jump up like that. So a few different types of reward engagement. Right now, she's pretty much engaged with the food. She's engaged with me in regards to I'm the one who is bringing the food, right? So we're gonna build on that. I'll use I had a moment there where she was doing a good job just standing there kind of focusing on me. If I wasn't talking and I was paying more attention to her than the camera, I would have marked the behavior and rewarded her. So now let's see if I can actually get that again. Yes. Right, and I'm using her natural food engagement to start building the actual engagement with me. Yes. Girl. I might move around a little bit. As mentioned earlier, if you tend to back away, that naturally draws our puppies in. I mean, it should with older dogs as well. Puppies do a pretty good job of, they see that backwards movement, they want to come forward. Pretty good. Okay, and if I wanted to build engagement with the food reward other than me, so you might use this for starting to teach the dog to go out. Basically, if the dog focuses on the food, I'm just gonna let her go. She was a little confused there, so I had to take that step forward to help build that, right? I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna throw the food. That is going to be the engagement with the food. She's gonna eat it, and then I'm gonna ask and reward for that engagement back into me. Yes. So there, the food was the engagement. It was obviously, I'm not there, that's only food. She engages with that. I call her, I'm not baiting her with food. I just called her. She created that engagement with me. I rewarded with food. And it's generally gonna be the same concept with a toy reward. So same concept with a toy. And she's never seen this toy before, so we'll see how it goes. So throw the toy, she's engaged, she gets it, yay, good job. And then in this instance, I am going to play with her as part of the engagement with me. So in our session here, she naturally really likes to be up on me, right? So what I'm gonna do is use a method, a lot of people call it jackpotting. We're basically, yes, so she's offering this behavior. I'm basically going to rapid fire these rewards. Good girl, all done. Sometimes people will use a higher value treat. Right now I only have one kind, so that's when I use kind of that rapid pay. Yes, yes, good job, all done. And so you notice after I rewarded, I told her all done, so she's kind of free to do what she wants. If she wants to disengage from me, she's allowed to. And you might notice I put, in this instance, this is a larger treat bag. I put it behind me for the time being. That way it's not getting in my way. I can easily reach behind. I personally like to, I'm right-handed, so I tend to reward a little bit more with my right hand more than my left. You should really do a cognizant job of actually trying to be 50-50, but we're humans, sometimes we get stuck in our nuances. So I have a couple here. I can reach back easily. It's not in my way. I'm not bending over. It's not whacking her in the face. And it's just easy. I'm not necessarily hiding it. It's just ease of use for me. Yes, good job, baby. Yes. Yes, girl.
All right, so another thing I want to touch on with Eiley here, and she's had a few reps, and we're kind of in a sterile environment. There's not a whole lot of distraction going on. But I want to talk about post-reinforcement pause. And the mistake that a lot of us make is we reward our dog, and then we're kind of trying to figure out how to work our dog too. Maybe we're trying to listen to the instructor. Maybe we're just kind of, there's a disconnect between when we started and what's going on. And if you look right there, the dog checked out, okay? Now, the dog checked out because of post-reinforcement pause. She said, well, my reward didn't come fast enough. The handler didn't ask me anything to do, so I guess I'm gonna check out. Now, go ahead and reward her. Yes, good. The dog checked in, we're gonna reward. But going back to that post-reinforcement pause, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. So let's say that I want to capture that behavior of the dog checking out, and I want to label that behavior. So I might reward my dog. The dog starts to check out. I say, all done, or free. I allow that dog to do its thing for a second, like she's doing right now. I then call my dog, give a little leash pop. Yes, and mark. okay? Now, notice how I said the little leash pop. That also helps me set up for corrections later on in life and going with leash pressure or leash correction, assuming that I want to have a balance system and a little bit of correction involved. By no means do you have to. Some people do just the positive reinforcement part, and that's totally fine. But I can capture that event of the dog checking out during that post reinforcement pause. So I make it useful to me as a handler. Dog checks out, I tell him free, all done. I grasp that concept that the dog is thinking, and I just label it. Okay, I'm not commanding it, I just label it. Later on, I say to myself, okay, I don't want my dog to check out, I want her to stay engaged, so I reward, right? And I know there's a threshold. Go ahead and move away, have her do something else. I know there's a threshold between my dog checking out and my dog staying engaged with me. And I want to elongate that threshold as we go. So let's talk on transitioning focus and engagement from the handler to, say, downrange. This dog is going to be competing in French ring sport. So far, she only has a French ring 1. However, we set up and train to the title that we desire. So one of the exercises in French ring, Mondio ring, IGP is basically a send out or go out. So I'm going to have the dog engage with me, the handler. So her focus and engagement is going to be with me as the handler. I'm then going to transition that dog's engagement downrange for the send out. And in this instance, she has a toy at the end of the field. This can also be useful for law enforcement during firearms, having a dog engage possibly me and the handler, staying focused, staying content, and then also transitioning engagement downrange. Turn up, gate, rest. Turn, couche, rest. Turn out of it. So when we're talking with food and talking about puppies, typically we refer to multiple rewards as, say, jackpot, because I'm able to keep delivering the reward and paying the dog. When we talk about toys, normally we're talking about a reward event where I am interacting and playing with the dog. That time can vary, the duration of the exercise can vary, based on what I'm doing with the dog. So in a second here, I'm going to reward the dog, and we're going to have a small little reward event or play session. Yes. Good. Good job. So I'm playing with my dog. Here. Good. Calling it to me. We're playing. We're interacting. Here. Good. And that event can change based on what we're doing. Up. Up. Yes. Good. Good. Up. Up. Yes. Good. Up. Yes, good. Ollie, Ollie, good. Good job. Ollie, good. Ollie, good. Ollie, good. Good. Couche. Rest. So my event will change based on my desire of what I'm trying to get, and also based on what the dog is showing me at the time. Turn it about. All right, so the next dog we're going to bring in is a detection dog, and in this case, we want the dog's focus and engagement to be outward for detection work. So we're going to bring this dog in. You're going to watch that she's going to be focused on this odor wall because she sees this training exercise. Go ahead. So in this case, the dog is really focused on the odor and the wall. All right. The dog gives us a final response, which is going to sit, and the handler is going to then reward the dog. Good. So as you see, our focus and engagement. Our focus and engagement is what we deem as productive, and in this instance, be it a training evolution or training exercise, it's going to be this odor wall. So this next exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to have the handler's going to have the dog focused and engaged into the handler themselves. The handler's then going to transition that focus and that engagement into the odor wall. The odor wall in this instance is representing for a detection dog where an odor might be. So in the environment, maybe it's a room, maybe it's a vehicle, but it's a training exercise or training evolution that we use to teach detection dogs.
girl. Good job, baby.
Be sure to tune in next time. And thanks for watching VDK TV.